week I was really fortunate to be able to harvest my 20th buck on public land. And I just have a love for hunting public land. You know, we never had land growing up, and it was great to get out on public land and have a spot to go. And so from the middle of the 1980s on, I've hunted public land, and last week was no exception. That the success I found, there were 5 really important ingredients that went together to making that hunt a success down there in Ohio. And that first point, find the bucks. You know, I've hunted in public land, in fact, in Ohio for 5 years. This was the 6th year. And those previous years, we were on bucks, but they were 1, 2, 3-year-old bucks. And I passed on some bucks. We weren't getting a lot of bucks on camera. And if you're not finding bucks, you need to change. I'm stubborn. And I was really stubborn the last several years because once we moved this year, we found them right away. I had friends telling me I should move years ago. And I should have listened, but I didn't. I love the area we were in, but just no bucks. So you have to find the bucks, and we were able to find those right away this year with both rut sign, scraping sign, old rubs. We found great sign that indicated the bucks were there. Secondly, we went down for a 2-day scouting trip. That's it. About 3 weeks before we went down to hunt the first time. And during that time, we located, I think, 6 locations that we thought we could use this tree. We can hunt this funnel, we can hunt this bench, this saddle, we can get in this way. They were all between 30 minutes and an hour off the road. The closer ones, we actually had a lot of terrain to go down or up, and so that eliminates a lot of people on public land. We didn't see any other hunters out in the woods where we were, a few where we parked. But it was key to find those 4 to 6 spots, because we went back, we found 3 of those that we really liked. We found those because of the third point in that we used trail cameras. And so we picked those 6 stand locations, potential stand locations. They were all half mile, 3/4 of a mile apart, so we covered a pretty large area. There were 4 main areas that were different, so we added 4 trail cameras, and we let those soak for 3 weeks. So when we got down there, we actually went in, my hunting partner Rich, he changed trail camera on 2 of them right away before we even hunted the next day. There are areas we could get in and out pretty non-invasively. And then when we hunted the first morning, we changed the other one. So right away, by the middle of the day on the first hunt, we got a really clear picture of where the bucks were and where we should focus our efforts on. And from there, we narrowed it down to those 3 locations that we really wanted to hunt and spend the time at. It ended up the first time, Rich actually missed a buck and was able to get really close to one too. So we had some really good success in those first 4 days. But one of the reasons we were able to find that success and experience that success initially in that first trip is we went smack dab in the middle of the peak rut. So we're not focusing on the pre-rut where those bucks really aren't moving that far from home or outside of their core area. We're waiting for those bucks to breed a few local does that are in their core area, and then they're really starting to search. And that comes, in southwest Wisconsin where I'm at, that would be early November, up until about the 10th, 15th of November. Down in Ohio where we went, that was the 7th, 8th, 10th of November through the 20th of November. And so we really focused number 4 on that peak rut to post-rut period, so we could count on those bucks moving long range. So we could sit in these cruising stands that aren't necessarily relating to bedding or feeding, but just bucks cruising long range on funnels, thick travel corridors, and areas that carried some traditional rut sign. But number 5, what's really key when you're going down to do-it-yourself public land hunt is you have to rely on the weather. Now, some guys have their week vacation, and that's what you have to take. But boy, you can really hurt your stand locations. We found that we had 2 really hot stand locations and one that was so-so. We could have sat in those 2 really good stand locations, and if we had bad weather the first, second, third day of the hunt, then we would have ruined those stands potentially for that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th day of the hunt. And so we went down for 4 days. We waited till that weather was going to be good. We keyed on one weekend. We were looking at either going down Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but we wanted to focus on those colder temperatures. Now, we had good success in that first 4-day hunt, and I wanted to go back. The one stand was so hot, and the other stand too, but we had great buck sign, great mature buck activity, and I just really had a draw to go back. And I was looking at hunting 2.5 days at most, and it's 11-hour drive for me to go down there, so it's a lot of effort. But I really felt good, and one of the reasons was because we had these 5 things happening that I talked about. We were on the bucks. We had good stand locations. It was right at the post rut where those big bucks are cruising long range and looking for that last doe. Trail cameras told us we were there, and then at the same time, huge weather drop. Literally, I think it was the 19th, 20th, right around there of November, 75 degrees for a high, and then just 3 days later, a high in the 30s. Went from nighttime lows in the 50s to nighttime lows for 5 days in a row in the 20s. And so just awesome weather drop. And the wind speeds from 40, 50 miles an hour dropping down to 8, 10, 12 miles an hour, more manageable. So I couldn't resist. We had good stands. We had these 5 things happening. And I went down for that hunt. I couldn't wait to sit out that first morning. It was cold. It was in the low 20s. Wind was just hammering the right side of my face. But at 8:40 in the morning, I had a really nice mature buck come in that we had trail cam photos of. And it made my 11-hour trip and all the driving one way, 11 hours, completely worth it. So when you're hunting public land, especially during the rut, you get these 5 things to happen right here. However far you have to go out of your way to find it, and to find those stand locations, locate those bucks, hunt the weather, hunt the timing of that peak or post rut. And I've found over the years that you can find success doing that, even on public land, even where you think, boy, there's going to be a lot of people out there. And I found that's not necessarily true. People hit the key times, and typically during the post rut, end of the peak rut, there's not a lot of, I didn't even see another car parked out where I hunt anywhere. And so I kind of had the woods to myself. Didn't see a lot of deer, but I saw one, and that was the most important in that first morning. So get these 5 things to happen, and you can find success too.